What if I was to tell you that the very thing that you are avoiding, that situation that looks messy, uncomfortable, and downright ugly, is actually the doorway to your breakthrough? Today, you are going to learn how your breakthrough might come through the most unexpected and uncomfortable circumstances, and you avoiding those circumstances is delaying your blessing. In episode 187, we broke down chapter 2 of the story of Jonah. And while we were reading it, there was something that stood out to me again, which was verse 10 that says, "So the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land." Jonah was sitting in the belly of a fish because of his disobedience to God. While sitting in the belly of a fish, Jonah prayed this prayer for God to release him. And God did it in verse 10, where he said, "So the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land." So as I was reading this, I started to imagine what that will look like, because all my life, I was taught that Jonah was sitting in the belly of a whale and that Jonah came out through the whale's blowhole. I remember being in Sunday school where they had the books with the picture, and they always had the picture of Jonah coming out of like a blowhole of a whale. But reading verse 10, I noticed two things. Number one, God does not say that Jonah was in a whale. God does not specify what type of fish Jonah was sitting in. Number two, God does not say that Jonah came out through a blowhole. God said that Jonah was vomited out by this fish. So as I'm reading this, I start to envision how disgusting that is. And I want you to take a moment to envision that too. I want you to envision Jonah sitting in the belly of a whale. And I want you to think about the process of the whale vomiting Jonah out. I want you to think about how disgusting that is. I want you to think about how scary that is. I want you to think about and imagine all of the nasty fluids and liquids that was in this fish's belly being all over Jonah. That when Jonah came out of this fish, he was covered in everything that this fish has eaten. He was covered in everything that was inside this fish. Jonah probably stunk. Jonah probably smelled like something I don't even want to imagine. So I'm reading this and I'm imagining this, and my face is twisted up because I'm like, that is nasty. But then God started showing me that this was something that Jonah had to experience in order to get out of the fish. Because I know that in the Christian community, we like to say that it was a whale, and we like to say that there was a blowhole and that Jonah came out of the blowhole. But in the Bible, it does not say that. In the Bible, it does not say it was a whale. So this outlet was the only way for Jonah to get an answer to his prayer. This disgusting situation was the only way for Jonah to get his breakthrough. As disgusting as it is, Jonah may not have realized it, but he prayed for that mess. He prayed for that nasty situation. And the reason why he prayed for it is when he made the decision to pray for the breakthrough, he prayed for the process that he had to go through to get to the breakthrough. And so as I'm reading this and as I'm imagining it, God told me this. He said, the doorway to your blessing will not always look pretty. I'm going to repeat this again because I really want you to get it. Jonah's prayer and Jonah's desire was to come out on dry land, to be back here on earth. God wanted to answer his prayer, but there was only one way that prayer could be answered. And that is by God allowing the fish to vomit Jonah out. Jonah's breakthrough, Jonah's open door to his prayer was nasty. It was messy. It was unclean. It was disgusting. But on top of all of that, it was necessary in order for Jonah to receive his breakthrough. Remember in the beginning of this video, I said that you are the reason why your breakthrough has not come. You are delaying the blessing that God is trying to give you. And the reason how you are doing that is because a lot of us are waiting for a clean, easy, and comfortable way to step into our breakthrough. We want things to be easy. We want things to be clean. We want things to not look messy. We don't want to go through anything uncomfortable. We don't want to go through anything that doesn't feel good, anything that doesn't look good, anything that looks scary. We want to avoid all of that. We feel like since God is so powerful, since God has all this might, that he can just walk us into our breakthrough effortlessly, that he can just do things with ease. But guess what? If Jonah would have had that mentality, if Jonah would have looked at the open door that God gave him to his breakthrough, and he would have said, that looks nasty. That looks scary. That looks disgusting. That's not something I want to go through. That's not something I want to experience. Guess what? If he would have rejected the door that God opened to his breakthrough, he would still be sitting in the belly of that fish. Some of us are still sitting in the place that God has been trying to deliver us from because we refuse to go through the door that God opened to our breakthrough. We look at that door and it looks scary. We look at that door and it looks messy. We look at that door and it looks uncomfortable. And we feel in our head that if God is going to make a way, the way that he is going to make is going to be in our comfort zone. If God is going to make a way, the way that he is going to make is going to look beautiful. But sometimes that thing that you are avoiding, sometimes the door that you are refusing to step through is God's answer. You're looking at the side of the door that is closest to you, but what you don't understand is the other side of that door has your breakthrough. Do you know that doors have two sides? And both sides do not always have to look identical. One side could look very dirty, one side could look very messy, and the other side can look very beautiful. But guess what? As long as the door is closed, and I am only looking at one side, I cannot see what the other side of that door looks like. I can only interpret what the other side of that door looks like. Guess what? There is a door right now in front of me. You can't see it on my camera, but there is a door right now in front of me, and that door is closed. I don't know what the other side of that door that is facing the hallway looks like. I can only interpret and assume what it will look like. And normally, a lot of us assume that the other side of that door looks like the side that we are looking at. The side of the door that I am looking at right now has a coat rack on it. It has my book bag. It has all the coats that I wear throughout the week and throughout, whatever. It has a coat rack on it. Would I assume that just because this side that I'm looking at and I'm facing has a coat rack on it, that the other side has that too? No, because usually what's on one side of the door is not on the other. But some of us make the mistake of thinking that just because this side of the door looks messy, just because this side of this door looks nasty, just because this side of the door looks uncomfortable, that the other side looks the same. You are making assumptions about what things are going to look like on the other side of that door. But I promise you, what's on the other side of that door does not look like what you are facing. The entrance does not look like the exit. The doorway to Jonah's breakthrough was nasty and messy. It looked like a fish vomiting him out. So I started doing research on fish vomit. And one of the specific things that I was researching was how fish vomit looks and if it was nasty. And when I was researching that, it says whether fish vomit is nasty is subjective. When a fish first vomits, it has a strong fecal smell, a smell kind of like poop or like waste. But fish vomit has something in it called ambergris, and that transforms into a musky, desirable scent. And when it dries up, it's actually used in the perfume industry. Fish vomit starts out as something that is disgusting and smelly. But after it dries up, it is something that becomes so desirable that people want to put it in their perfume. So the reason why fish vomit being nasty is subjective is because some people see the word vomit. Some people think about the process of vomit. Some people look at the smell of vomit and they automatically assume that that is nasty. But some people decide that instead of looking at how it starts, I'm going to look at how it ends. Instead of looking at the mess, I'm going to look at the beautiful thing that it turns into. And I'm going to make the decision to say that what you view as nasty, what you view as messy, what you view as disgusting is beautiful to me. Because you're looking at the beginning and I'm looking at the end. My question to you today is, what are you going to look at? I understand that your situation looks nasty. It looks uncomfortable. It looks unappealing. It looks scary. I understand that. But I promise you, it's not going to stay that way. Instead of looking at how it starts and making a decision based on how it starts, I want you to ask yourself, if I walk through this door, what will it turn into? If I make the decision to go through this mess, what will be on the other side of that? How is this situation going to end? What will be the outcome? Don't ask yourself what is the starting point. Ask yourself what will be the outcome of that situation. There's this saying that I absolutely love to say. I love to quote that God will turn your mess into a masterpiece. But as I was sitting down and I was preparing for this episode, the only question that I had is, how can God turn your mess into a masterpiece if you are not willing to get messy? How can God turn your mess into a masterpiece if you are not willing to go through the mess that He's trying to turn? You have to make a decision today. Are you going to continue to be afraid to go through that door? Are you going to continue to be afraid to go through that mess because it makes you uncomfortable, because it's not easy, because it's not painless, because you might get a little dirty? Are you willing to go through that door, the only outlet to your breakthrough? Or are you going to continue to delay what you have been praying to God for, denying His answer, but still praying for a result? Which one are you going to do? If your answer is that you're going to keep avoiding the door, then I am sorry, this episode is not for you and you might as well just click off. But for those who are making the decision that you want to keep pursuing and you want to keep trying and you are willing to take a risk, keep listening. Because everything in this is for you. This message is something that God sent for you. I want to go back to the research that I did about fish vomit. The reason why fish vomit is able to be turned into desirable perfumes is because it has something in it called ambergris. This is something that is highly sought after. And while I was researching, I actually realized that it is worth thousands of dollars. Why am I bringing this up? Because some of you are either in your mess or you've been avoiding your mess. And while you've been going through it, you have just been asking God, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why do I have to go through this? Why are you causing this pain upon me? And I want you to understand, hear me very clearly. Fish vomit has ambergris in it. And ambergris is worth thousands of dollars. I want you to understand that there is value in your mess. There is value in the situation that you are going through. But guess what? You have to go through the situation to find the value. Because I want you, take away Jonah for a minute. Think about the people who actually find the ambergris in fish vomit. Think about that for a minute, because that is nasty as well. Think about the process of that. They have to literally search through fish's vomit. They have to literally look at fish's vomit. They have to literally smell fish's vomit. They have to literally gather fish's vomit. They have to do so much disgusting things in order to get the beautiful thing out of it. But remember when I said that I researched if people feel like this is nasty, and they said that it is subjective because some people don't mind doing this process. Some people don't mind dealing with the nasty thing at hand because they know that there is a beautiful result in it. They know that there is something valuable in it. They know that there is something worth thousands of dollars in it. You have to be willing to view messy startups as subjective. You have to be willing to go through the mess because you know that there is something valuable and you know that there is something priceless in that mess. Your mess is a setup for your masterpiece. There is pieces in your mess that you have to get in order to create your masterpiece. The puzzle pieces that you are looking for, the things that are missing when you are pursuing your breakthrough, it's in the mess. You have to be willing to go through the mess. As long as you avoid it, you're avoiding your blessing. That is the main thing that I want you to take away from this episode. When you avoid the mess, you avoid your breakthrough. When you avoid the mess, you avoid what you're praying for. So every time that you see that messy situation, every time that you see that open door that looks a little scary, and you make the decision to tell God no, you make the decision to be disobedient, you make the decision to not walk through it, I want you to ask yourself, what's the point of praying? If you're not going to walk through that door, what is the point of praying? Because the fish vomiting out Jonah was the only doorway. The fish vomiting out Jonah was the only outlet. So if God is providing you with the doorway, and that doorway may look a little messy, that doorway may look a little scary, and you are making the decision to reject it, then why are you still praying? Because that is the only outlet you are going to get. So you're going to either go through that or you're going to give up on your blessing. So here's my question for you. What door have you been avoiding because it doesn't look the way you want it to? What situation have you been rejecting because it feels too messy? Remember that if Jonah had refused to be vomited out, he would not have made it to his assignment. He would not have been able to do the work and the calling that God called him to do. So don't let the way that your blessing is packaged make you miss the blessing at hand. If you're listening to this and you feel a little confused, you feel like, I don't really know what door I've been avoiding. I don't really know, I don't know, right? I want you to take this back to God, and I want you to ask him, what do you need to stop resisting? God, what do I need to stop resisting? And when he gives you that answer, walk through the door. And so remember, the doorway to your blessing will not always be pretty. Do not wait for a clean, easy, and comfortable doorway and inlet to your blessing, because sometimes God will send something messy, disgusting, and unappealing. Do not let that scare you, because what starts out as nasty turns into something beautiful, and there is value in the mess that you've been avoiding to pursue. And so before we end, I want to leave you with an action step. Number 1, I want you to write down the ugly doorway in your life right now, or the situation that you are currently facing that feels uncomfortable. It feels like a storm. It feels discouraging. Write it down. Number 2, I want you to shift your perspective on it. Instead of seeing it as a setback, ask God to show you how it could be a setup for something greater. And number 3, take one step. Do one thing this week that moves you through that doorway, even if it feels uncomfortable. So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you share this with somebody who you know is going through something similar, or even share your experiences in the comment section or in my DM. But that is all that I have for you this week. Make sure that you subscribe so that you get a notification every time a new episode is released. Also, leave a review and let me and others know how you enjoyed the show. And if you want to stay connected, follow me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Prospering with Christ. But that's all I have for you today, and I will see you next week.